So let's continue to work in the Finder. But now let's concentrate on the actual files and folders themselves. Here I am in my Documents folder and I have various folders in here. I'm in Icon View. Let's go down into this folder here and I see I have 5 files there. Let's say I wanted to move one of these files into a different folder. Let me go back here using the back button. And this is the folder I was looking in. And let's say I want to move one of those files in there. There are several ways to do it. If I want to stick with Icon View, I could simply open up 2 different Finder windows. Let's go here to the files that are there. And let's create a new Finder window. This one's looking at the Documents folder as well. This is the folder that I'm seeing here. Let's say I wanted to move one of these files, this one, into this folder. I could simply drag from one window to another. So I could click and drag like that. And now I'll find that file here in this folder. I'm going to use undo to undo that. You can use undo in the Finder just like you can, say, in a word processing app. And you can see how the file goes back. So having 2 Finder windows open is one way to handle this. Another way to handle it is to use one of the other views. For instance, if I were to go to Column View, I could dig down into Files and there's that file. And I could drag it simply in the same window here from its location in the Files folder into the current folder since I can see that folder there. Now let's try it in List View. Here I am in List View and I can open up these 2 folders. There's nothing in the current folder right now, but there are 5 files here in the Files folder. Let's go ahead and drag from one to the other. And you can see how I can move it. I could still use multiple windows if I want. So for instance, I can create a new Finder window and I could simply drag from here to here like that. And you can see how the change is reflected in both windows. So you can use multiple windows, or with the List View and Column View there are ways to move files from one folder to another using just one window if you like. I'm going to show you another way to move files in a little bit. A common thing you may need to do is rename a file. Let's dig down to this folder again so we have some files to work with. And let's say I want to rename this file. If you select a file, you could choose File and then Rename. And then you can see I'm now editing the file name. Another way to get to the same place is simply to use the Return key. So I'm going to select this file, press Return. And now you can see I have text in there selected and I can name this something else. Notice how the file extension isn't changed because that's not what was selected there, but I could easily select it and change the file extension if I really wanted to. And I could work with it just like text in a word processor. I can select different parts. I can use the arrow keys to move back and forth. I can select some text like that, delete, and change it to any name I want. Now let's say you want to duplicate a file. Sometimes you might have a file like this and say you've been working with it and you want to keep it as is and you want to create a new version of the file that you can continue to work with. You can do that by selecting it first and then going to File and then Duplicate. Notice the keyboard shortcut is Command D. This creates a second copy of the file there. So now I've got 2. It assigns a name to it, usually with the word copy afterwards, sometimes with a number. You can press Return to rename just like I showed you before and rename it something else instead. Now deleting a file works in several steps and the reason for that is to prevent you from accidentally making a mistake. If you could select this file and really easily just delete it forever, never be able to get it back, that could easily lead to situations where you accidentally delete a file. So the idea is to do it in 2 stages. The usual way to do it is to drag, but instead of dragging it to another Finder window, drag it to this icon here in the dock. It's called the trash, or in other parts of the world, the bin. And then when you add it to the trash, you can now double click on the trash there and it opens up another Finder window which shows you a unique folder called Trash or Bin. And this contains everything that you've added to the trash. This allows you to reverse a deletion. You can pull something out of the trash by simply dragging it back. You can also drag files directly into the trash folder if you have it open. And the trash folder can be looked at with the same views. Icon View, List View, which is helpful for sorting, say by size or date modified, Column View, and so on. Now in addition to be able to drag it back here, you could also undo putting it into the trash by selecting the file and then choosing File Put Back. And that takes it back to where it originally was, which is handy if you don't remember where you actually had the file before you put it in the trash. It's also handy because you could select multiple files and put them all back. I can take all three of these, drag them to the trash icon here, and you can see they're here. I can select them all and go put back. And this will work even if they come from different locations. So if they come from 3 different folders, it would put each one back in its own folder. Now, a handy keyboard shortcut for adding files to the trash is to select the file, and then you'll notice that you've got Move to Trash, Command Delete. So instead of having to drag and drop, if you want, you can do Command Delete and it will put that file in the trash. Notice too how I can use the handy Undo or Command Z to undo what just happened. So another way you get something out of the trash if you just put it in there, it was your last action, is to simply undo. Now I mentioned it was a 2-step process to empty the trash. So once you have things in the trash, then you could just leave them there for a while and maybe review them later before you delete them. But when you want to delete them, you can open up the trash here and then use the empty button to empty. But also when using the Finder, at any point you can go to the Finder and there's a special function here, Empty Trash. And you can use that and it's going to warn you, and then you can click Empty Trash and it will get rid of that file forever and close the trash. You can see now it's empty. Now I want to show you a couple other tricks. One is that if you create another Finder window, let's say this one, and let's go to this folder. And let's say I want to move the file from here to here. But if I do so, notice how it moves it. It removes it from this folder and puts it in this one. What if I didn't want to do that? What if I wanted to actually make a copy of this file here? I could do that by dragging and then holding the Option key down on the keyboard. And notice how the pointer changes to have a little green plus icon there. Now when I drop it there, notice the original stays where it was and a duplicate of the file was made and placed in the new location. If this window was pointing to an external drive, a different drive than this, then you actually get the opposite. When you try to move a file by dragging it from one drive to another, an internal drive to an external or vice versa, you actually make a copy of it. This prevents you from removing the file from a drive by just a drag and drop. If this was showing an external drive and I wanted to actually move it there, I would drag, but I would use the Command key, not the Option key, but the Command key, and that would then indicate I wanted to actually remove it from one drive and have a copy of it placed on the other drive at the same time. There's also another way to move or to copy a file from one location to another. You could select the file like this and you can go to Edit and choose Copy or Command C. Now with that in the clipboard, you could go to another location like here and you can go to Edit Paste or Command V and it would paste a copy into that location. Now you can also use this to move. So I select this file, I'll choose Copy, then I'll go here and notice when I go to Paste, if I hold the Option key down, Paste changes to Move. And now you can see by using that or Command Option V, I actually move the file that I had copied. And you could do this with one or multiple files. And note that all of this works with folders as well. If I wanted to rename a folder, I could hit Return right here and I'm in rename mode. I could drag one folder to another to move it. I could even use Copy and then paste a copy somewhere or move it by holding the Option key. All these things work for folders. The one thing I want to teach you though with folders is how to create new ones, because of course say you want to add a new folder here to your Documents folder. You'd want to create a new one. You could do that very easily by going to File and then New Folder or Shift Command N. And that creates a new folder and instantly puts you into the mode here where you can name the folder.